Welcome to the January 10, 2024 City of Mesa Planning and Zoning Board meeting. We'll begin by taking a roll call of the board members. I am Vice Chair Pitcher. Chairman Ayers is excused. Board Member Crockett.
Here.
Board Member Peterson.
Here.
Board Member Montez.
Here.
Board Member Blakeman is also excused, and Board Member Carpenter.
Here.
Thank you. As a part of today's agenda, we have a consent agenda. We have one item that's been pulled off. We have Board Member Carpenter that's volunteered to read the consent agenda, and after that, we'll address item 3A.
All right, the items of the consent agenda. Approve the minutes from the previous meeting, the December 13th, 2023 Planning and Zoning meeting, and take action on the following zoning cases. ZON 23-00210, East Market Major Land Use Budget Transfer within the 9200 to 9400 blocks of East Ray Road, within the 9200 to 9300 blocks of Point 22 Boulevard, within 9300 to 10,000 blocks of East Point 22 Boulevard, within the 4200 to 4700 blocks of Southeast Mark Parkway, within the 9200 to 9800 blocks of East Warner Road, and within the 4400 to 5200 blocks of South Ellsworth Road, located north of Ray Road and east of Ellsworth Road, approximately 428 acres. Major budget transfer. This request will allow the transfer of dwelling units approved of Development Unit 1 to Development Unit 3 and 4 North. Staff recommendation is tabled. Zoning case ZON 23-00832. Gateway Commerce Center 2 within the 7300 to 7500 blocks of South Sossaman Road, located north of Germain Road and west of Sossaman Road. Major site plan modification. This request will allow for an industrial development. Staff recommendation, approval with conditions. Item 3D, ZON 23-00688, ED1 Mesa 2, within the 9800 to 10,000 blocks of East Elliott Road, within the 3600 to 3900 blocks of South Everton Terrace, and within 3600 to 3900 blocks of Southeast Mark Parkway, located east of Ellsworth Road and the south of Elliott Road. Major site plan modification. This request will allow for an industrial use. Staff recommendation continued to January 24th, 2024 Planning and Zoning Board meeting. Item 4, discuss and make recommendation to the City Council for the following zoning cases. Item 4A, ZON 23-00455, extra space storage within a 9300 block of East Southern Avenue, located south of Southern Avenue and east of Ellsworth Road. Major site plan modification and cancel use permit. This request will allow for the expansion of a mini storage facility. Staff recommendation is approval with conditions. Item 4B, ZON 23-00609, 810 South Country Club Drive, within the 400 to 500 blocks of West 8th Avenue, and within the 800 block of South Country Club Drive, located north of Southern Avenue and west of Country Club Drive. Rezone from general commercial to general commercial with a bonus intensity zone overlay. Council use permit and site plan review. This request will allow for a mini storage facility. Staff recommendation is continued to the January 24th, 2024 Planning and Zoning meeting.
Thank you, Board Member Carpenter.
Thanks.
Appreciate that. I will entertain a motion to approve the consent agenda.
So moved.
Need a second?
Second.
Let's vote, please. Looks like the voting has been approved. Chair, Board Member Crockett, how do you vote?
I vote yes.
Thank you. It passes unanimously. So we will move on to a presentation of item 3A on the agenda.
Good afternoon once again, Chair and members of the board. This is case ZON 23-00. Sorry, I'll go there. Good afternoon once again, Chair and members of the board. This is case ZON 22-01159, and this is a request for a site plan modification to allow for a daycare facility. The project site is located east of Ellsworth Road and south of Ray Road, and it has frontage on South Cadence Parkway. The general plan character area designation for the site is mixed-use community. The goal of the mixed-use community is to create a large land areas that is possible to create a mixture of uses that will create a complete and identifiable community. Such mixture of uses encompasses educational, commercial, entertainment, as well as industrial uses. And the aim is to provide a complete community with a sense of place. Staff finds that the proposed development of a daycare facility complies with the goals of the mixed-use community character area designation of the 2014 Mesa General Plan. The site is zoned as a planned community district with an approved community plan. Also, it is located within the community commercial land use group of the Cadence Community Plan. And per the Cadence Community Plan, a daycare facility is allowed by right in the community commercial land use group. This is a photo of the site looking south from Cadence Parkway, and as you can see, the site is currently vacant. The proposed site plan shows the development of a one-story, 10,147 square feet daycare center. The building includes a fenced playground area that will be located along the east and south sides of the proposed building. Vehicular access to the site is provided from an existing drive aisle from East Cadence Parkway, specifically at the west side of the project site. In all, a total number of 27 parking spaces are required, and a total number of 29 proposed parking spaces are to be provided on the site for this specific development. And these parking spaces are supposed to be located, part of these parking spaces are supposed to be located on the site as well as off-site. So out of the 29 parking spaces, a total number of 19 spaces are proposed to be located on the site, and these parking spaces will be located specifically along the west sides and also the south side of the proposed building. The additional or the remaining 10 parking spaces are proposed to be located on the adjacent parcel located at the west side. There is a parking agreement that allows the proposed site or the proposed development to use 10 parking spaces on the adjacent parcel to the west. And as discussed previously, the parking agreement specifically states 10 parking spaces are proposed for this development. This is a landscape plan provided, and it shows a variety of trees proposed for the site. And this landscape plan was reviewed by the Design Review Board at the November work session, and the board made some minor comments that has to do with aesthetics and site design, and which do not impact the site plan. These are the renderings of the proposed building, and this is specifically the northwest rendering, which shows the entrance into the building, and this is the side of the building that will be visible from Cadence Parkway, as well as the adjacent commercial development on the west side. And this is the southwest rendering that will be visible from the adjacent commercial developments on the west and the southwest, as well as the residential developments to the south. The applicant completed the citizen participation process by mailing notification letters to property owners within 1,000 feet of the site, as well as nearby HOAs and registered neighborhoods. And staff received one comment from a concerned neighbor who expressed concerns about parking overflow onto other parcels adjacent to the project site. In all, staff finds that the proposed project complies with the 2014 Mesa General Plan, as well as Section 3.9A of the Cadence Community Plan for site plan review. In view of this, staff recommends approval with conditions. Thank you, and I'll be happy to answer any questions you may have.
Thank you. Are there any questions at this point? What we'd like to do is open it up for the public period to have. It looks like we've received one blue card. I assume that's you. This is from Robin Clawwitter. Am I saying that correctly? And please come on up. You have 3 minutes, and let us know your concerns.
Thank you. Yes, my name is Robin Clawwitter. I'm the Executive Vice President of Mountainside Fitness. We did make a public comment earlier, and we're basically here to say the same thing. We just want to make sure that there is sufficient parking for the daycare and the overflow is contained to their parcel. Their surge times are very similar to our surge times. You can imagine parents drop their children off at the daycare and then come visit us. We just want to make sure that those two don't overlap to the point where we aren't able to park our clients as well. It does seem that there was a comment about an agreement with another parcel to the west for 10 spaces, and that might resolve the problem. That's just not something that was brought to our attention yet. Thank you.
Appreciate it. Is the applicant here? Maybe you can address that and
Hi, I'm Nicole Poston with On Point Architecture. I'm actually representing John Riddell Architects today. John is the architect. His father-in-law passed away, and so he's at the funeral. And business goes on, right? So I'm here. I do know that the parking agreement has been completed, and it is enforced so that those 10 extra parking spaces are on the parcel to the west. So that is already done.
can I ask a question? Are they specifically located on the parcel? I know there's a number of 10, but are they
That I don't
specifically
know.
located?
Do you know? Have you seen the actual? Sorry, I have limited knowledge.
No problem.
Thank you, Chair. So these parking spaces are proposed to be located on the west side of the site. So this site is currently approved for a medical office. So Phoenix Children's Clinic is the proposed development that is supposed to be implemented there. So it has gone through the site plan approval process, and they are yet to implement the whole development. But the number of parking spaces available on the site are enough to serve the Phoenix Children's Clinic medical office, which is a medical office, as well as this proposed daycare facility. So there are enough parking spaces, and then as stated, the parking agreement states that they can have access to 10 parking spaces, and provided these parking spaces are within 500 feet from the entrance of the proposed building, that meets the requirement of the Cadence Community Plan.
Is there any thought given to maybe assigning those spaces so they're on a certain area to give the
Actual
others?
signage?
Yeah.
It could be it could always be a part of their construction document requirements. Yeah, I don't know. I know that the easement is already dedicated, correct? Yeah.
Vice Chair Board, Evan Ballmer, Principal Planner. So the parking agreement is for 10 spaces. It doesn't identify the 10 spaces specifically, just that they have access to 10 spaces. How that works out between the two property owners is something that they can agree on in the future as far as which 10. But the agreement does give the daycare facility access to 10 parking spaces, which satisfies the parking requirements for their specific use.
Working with private entities, that's probably where their employees would park.
I have a couple questions. too. Yeah. Are you going to ask a question?
No, go ahead.
No, you go ahead.
Those 10 parking spaces are not developed yet, though, correct?
Thank you, Chair.
Because
Board Member Montes, that's correct.
Okay.
Do we have any idea when that, there's been no application for that parcel yet, right? There's no plan, there's,
Oh, it's the children's clinic.
Vice Chair, Board Member Carpenter. So that is the Phoenix Children's Hospital, and it came through Planning and Zoning Board maybe a year or so ago. It is under development. We can check the permits on that, but if these 10 spaces are, the 10 spaces are required for this specific use, so they will be needed for this use. Sorry.
my follow-up question would be, will this applicant be, as part of their construction process, building those 10 spaces so that they can be used once their project's completed and not wait for the Phoenix Children's?
Thank you, Vice Chair, Board Member Carpenter. So to satisfy this parking requirement for the daycare center, they need those 10 spaces. So if those 10 spaces are not constructed prior to a point of opening, then yes, I believe the daycare use would need to work with the property owner to make sure that adequate parking is provided.
Okay, thank you.
Along those same lines, so condition number 4 is compliance with the shared parking agreement. And is there clarity whether that's actual construction or just use of those spaces to?
Vice Chair, Board Member Peterson. So compliance with the parking agreement, that parking agreement is what satisfies the parking requirement for the daycare center. So we need to be sure that that parking agreement stays in place. So it doesn't necessarily relate, the parking agreement doesn't specify the construction, who constructs what, but it allows for the daycare use to use 10 spaces at the Phoenix Children's Hospital site. And that needs to stay in place to make sure that we have adequate parking.
And does the nature of the requirements of the proposed site plan, then is the requirement built in within that to be understood that the 10 spaces need to be constructed before occupancy, or is that another condition that we need to add here, or is it built in within the site plan?
Vice Chair, Board Member Peterson, we don't have a condition specific to the timing of those, the construction of those 10 spaces, but they will be needed as for the daycare use. So if there's a point where the daycare is moving ahead of Phoenix Children's Hospital, I think the two property owners are going to need to work together because we will need those 10 spaces for the daycare.
And is that shared parking agreement just between the hospital and the daycare, or does the entire center have a shared parking agreement?
Vice Chair, Board Member Peterson, this parking agreement is specific to these two properties, the Phoenix Children's Hospital and daycare.
Okay, so then enforcement-wise, if the fitness center needed to restrict their existing parking to their customers only, then that's within their right? There's not a cross-parking agreement that allows everybody to park wherever it's available?
Vice Chair, Board Member Peterson, not to my knowledge. The one that we are working with today is specific to just these two parcels. And that's how the daycare center is able to satisfy their parking requirement, is with this specific shared parking agreement.
Okay, and then Quasi, you mentioned that transportation or traffic had reviewed the case, and did they reviewed it from a a traffic flow perspective, and they felt that drop-off, pickup, all those types of things that are inherent with these types of uses, that those wouldn't cause any traffic issues there.
Thank you, Vice Chair, Board Member Peterson. So the national standard set forth by the Institute of Transport Engineers, which takes into consideration the size of the proposed building, so the square footage of the building, and this is per 1,000 square feet of the proposed building. And so looking at this measure, the output is way below 300, which in City of Mesa raises an alarm or traffic concerns. And so looking at this standard, this development is way below the traffic, peak hour traffic generation that will cause way beyond what is required within the City of Mesa.
Okay.
And to be clear, Vice Chair Board Member Peterson, Transportation has reviewed this request, and they don't have any concerns with the traffic flows or the traffic patterns.
Okay, gotcha. Thank you.
Just to clarify, though, that from what I'm hearing from you, in order for them to get their certificate of occupancy, they're going to have those 10 spaces
Correct.
in existence.
That is correct.
Okay. Are there any other comments?
Maybe just a question for the adjacent owner. If addresses the concern or not, I guess so. Yeah.
Does that address your concern?
Okay.
Okay. Then I will entertain a motion on this one.
Board Member Pitcher, if you could just close the public hearing if there are no
Close the
other
public hearing.
comments. Thank you.
There you go. Close the public hearing and the comments. Now are there any other comments that you have? If none, then I will entertain a motion.
Vice Chair Pitcher, I'll make the motion. I move that we approve case ZON 22-01159, Kids Incorporated in District 6 within the 9300 block of East Cadence Parkway, South Side, located east of Ellsworth Road and south of Ray Road, major site plan modification. This request will allow for a daycare facility. The staff recommendation is approval with conditions.
Thank you. Is there a second?
A second.
And let's vote. Okay.
Vice Chair Pitcher, I think we just need, even though he made the motion, I think we just need Board Member Crockett to
Board
voice
Member
his.
Crockett, how do you vote?
Yeah, I noticed that my vote turned up there before I actually voted, so
That's
I vote yes.
All right, the motion passes unanimously. Are there any other matters that we need to address?
Vice Chair Pitcher, board members, there are no other matters from planning. I think the general plan is the one that you'll be seeing a lot of the next couple of months.
Sounds good, appreciate it. Then no other matters that we need to address, then I will, then if someone has a motion to adjourn,
I motion that we adjourn.
I second.
let's vote. The motion, yeah, your magical vote didn't show up this time, so Board Member Crockett, how do you vote?
I vote yes.
The motion passes, then we are adjourned.